In a moment that stunned late-night television, Denzel Washington, one of Hollywood's most respected actors, was abruptly kicked off The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. After a fiery honor clash that quickly spiraled out of control, what was intended to be a celebration of Denzel's new film and legendary career ended in a tense and uncomfortable confrontation that no one could have predicted. From the very beginning, there was a subtle edge in the air. Denzel came out, poised and humble as always, shaking Colbert's hand and exchanging warm greetings. But the interview took a turn when Colbert, known for blending comedy with politics and pressing interviews, started steering the conversation toward Denzel's outspoken faith and his remarks about morality in Hollywood. Denzel, who has always been firm in his beliefs, initially responded with grace, reiterating that he speaks only from his own life experience. But as Colbert began poking at some of Denzel's more conservative-leaning statements from past interviews, the calm energy began to shift into something far more combustible. Colbert, likely expecting a spirited exchange for entertainment value, asked whether Denzel thought modern Hollywood had lost its moral center. Referencing comments the actor had made in previous press appearances, Denzel's reply was measured, but firm. He said that Hollywood, like any place, is a reflection of the people in it, and that he didn't believe in shaming individuals, but rather in encouraging responsibility. However, Colbert pressed further, suggesting that Denzel's words sometimes came across as preachy or judgmental in an industry that's increasingly diverse and evolving. That was the moment the tension truly sparked. His eyebrows leaned forward, asking why honesty about one's personal values is considered judgment. The audience gave a mix of laughter and quiet murmurs, unsure whether this was an intense debate or just a testy moment. Colbert, sensing that he had hit a nerve, tried to lighten the mood with a joke, but Denzel wasn't smiling anymore. Instead, he calmly but directly challenged Colbert's assumptions about faith, freedom, and Hollywood's double standards. Things escalated when Colbert attempted to redirect the discussion toward Denzel's political views, citing a past comment Denzel had made about the media being too quick to stir division. Colbert suggested that such a statement played into conspiracy rhetoric. Denzel's expression changed completely. He took a long pause before responding, saying that criticizing the media isn't about promoting conspiracy but about accountability, and that Colbert, as part of the mainstream media, should understand that better than anyone. The room went completely still. Even the studio audience, typically a reliable source of support for Colbert, seemed uncertain how to respond. Denzel continued by saying that real journalism requires courage, not crowd-pleasing. Colbert, visibly irritated, accused Denzel of deflecting the question. At that point, the tension reached a boiling point. The back and forth grew sharper, with both men talking over each other, and the audience's reactions turned from laughter to stunned silence. It was no longer a celebrity interview, it was a clash of values. Live on television, trying to regain control. Colbert attempted to pivot again by asking about Denzel's acting process and preparation for his latest role. But the mood had already soured. Denzel, visibly irritated, responded with a short, clipped answer, then circled back to the earlier tension. He said he found it disappointing that a show that's supposed to promote conversation instead tried to corner guests into ideological soundbites. Colbert, clearly losing patience, replied that he asks hard questions because his viewers expect substance, not fluff. That was the final straw for Denzel. He removed his earpiece, looked at Colbert, and said, "If you wanted a real conversation, you wouldn't be trying to turn this into a headline." The room froze. No music played, no laughter was heard. Producers were seen motioning backstage. Then, without another word, Denzel stood up and began walking off stage, leaving Colbert seated and visibly rattled. The camera cut to an awkward commercial break. Backstage sources later revealed that the tension had actually begun earlier in the green room, when Denzel was asked last minute to approve a revised list of questions, many of which he found invasive or off-topic. Though his team had requested that personal or politically charged topics be approached respectfully, the conversation on air had veered into uncomfortable territory very quickly. Denzel's publicist reportedly told staff afterward that they'd Never seen him so disrespected in an interview. Meanwhile, producers on The Late Show scrambled to edit the segment for rebroadcast, unsure of what would even make it to air. Stephen Colbert, who typically ends interviews with warmth and humor, was said to have remained quiet and withdrawn after Denzel's walk-off, skipping the usual backstage debrief and canceling his post-show meeting with writers. The crew used two unpredictable guests, were reportedly stunned by how real and unrehearsed the moment had been. Asterisk, by the time the East Coast airing wrapped, clips of the incident had already made their way online. Social media exploded with opinions from both sides. Some hailed Denzel as a man of principle, someone who stood firm in the face of media provocation. Others accused him of being thin-skinned or unwilling to answer tough questions. Hashtags like hashtag Denzel vs Colbert, hashtag WalkOffTV, and hashtag Respect Boundaries were trending within hours. Think pieces popped up across every major platform, analyzing whether the clash represented the larger cultural war happening in Hollywood between traditional values and modern expectations. Fans of both Colbert and Washington felt torn. The late-night landscape had seen its fair share of awkward interviews and walkouts, but this moment felt different. Raw, unfiltered, and personal. It wasn't just an actor disagreeing with a host. It was a deeply principled man refusing to be reduced to a viral clip or soundbite. Asterisk Denzel remained silent in the immediate aftermath, declining to speak to press or issue any statement. His team, however, released a brief message thanking viewers for their support and reaffirming that Denzel stands by his values and believes in respectful, meaningful dialogue. Meanwhile, Stephen Colbert addressed the incident the following night with a mixture of humor and regret. He told his audience that while he stands by asking difficult questions, he never intends to make guests uncomfortable or feel attacked. His monologue was met with a mixed reaction. Some applauded his honesty, while others felt the apology didn't go far enough. The debate continued across television, radio, and online platforms, with each camp firmly entrenched in their opinions. Entertainment news outlets speculated that this fallout could have long-term implications for both Denzel's media appearances and Colbert's guest bookings moving forward. Asterisk in the weeks that followed, Denzel's absence from promotional tours and late-night appearances was notable. Several of his peers came to his defense publicly, stating that actors shouldn't be forced to defend their beliefs in confrontational settings. Some called for a reassessment of how media handles public figures, especially those who are known to be thoughtful but private. Colbert, for his part, seemed to tread more lightly in subsequent interviews, clearly affected by the incident. Network executives reportedly met behind closed doors to reevaluate the tone and direction of The Late Show, worried that audience trust might be eroding. Meanwhile, Denzel focused entirely on his film and community work, avoiding interviews altogether, letting his silence speak volumes. For many, his walk-off was not just a dramatic TV moment. It became a symbol of a deeper clash between substance and spectacle. Asterisk over time. The incident took on a life of its own. It wasn't just about one bad interview. It became part of the broader conversation about how celebrities are treated, what is considered fair questioning, and how far a host can push before crossing the line. Students of media studied the episode as an example of ethical boundaries in journalism and the power dynamics between interviewer and interviewee. Fans debated endlessly whether Denzel should have stayed and defended himself more calmly, or whether he did the right thing by walking away. In the end, the moment marked a turning point for both men. Denzel's legacy as a principled actor remained intact, perhaps even strengthened while Colbert's image took a temporary hit. Everyone that even the sharpest wit must be paired with empathy and timing. Asterisk. The legacy of that night on The Late Show didn't fade quickly. It remained one of the most talked about moments in late-night history, played endlessly across platforms, taught in communication classes, and referenced in pop culture. It reminded viewers and creators alike that sometimes the most explosive moments aren't scripted, they're born from real people with real beliefs, caught in a situation that becomes much bigger than either of them imagined. For Denzel Washington, it was a moment of truth. For Stephen Colbert, a lesson in boundaries. For the world watching, it was proof that television still has the power to surprise, shock, and spark conversations that go far beyond the soundstage.